So that turn one move from Max Verstappen was simply lovely to say the least. At Imola, he did something very special and converted that into an amazing win. Let's just say Max has some serious balls. Let's get into it. This is F1 Fridays, episode number 12. Now, I would like to obviously touch on Max's masterclass. I think that we tend to take for granted how good these drivers are till we see something crazy like that. I do also think that there are other drivers on the grid that are amazing that we don't get to see often because they have maybe a shitty car or different circumstances. But when something like this happens, I think you have to give Jack his jacket. I am obviously a fan, but everyone, no matter who you support, can definitely say that I think Max's skill, his tenacity made that win happen. In other circumstances, I don't think he would have gotten, or any other driver would have gotten that pass. And I do think those Red Bull upgrades obviously helped, but that was just all balls. That was real racing, and he was willing to try something that could have gone completely wrong. Obviously, he went in that corner braking a lot later, and it paid off easily. Some people were saying a few centimeters to the right, and that could have been a disaster, taking both cars out. I do think Oscar did race fairly, and Max just went all in. So, do I think Red Bull is back in contention? I'm unsure yet. I think it's too early to really say. But with Max behind the wheel, anything is possible. My early prediction was that he was going to win the Drivers' Championship still. I hope he could, but you can't count him out regardless of how good the car is, just due to the fact that he will always put his best effort in and he'll try to win a race even if he's driving a brick. So I would like to also point out Yuki came back from the pits to score points. An amazing race from him. He's still yet to really put it together. I do think he has it in him, and it's been, I would say, optimistic. Now, things haven't gone very well yet, but I do think he has it in him. I think throughout the season we'll see some progression. I just hope he can put an entire weekend together. Sometimes he does great in practice, but then falters in qualifying, then does great in the race, then you can mix up all those. But he hasn't really had a weekend yet where he's been consistent from start to finish. I'd love to see that, just to know his true pace compared to Verstappen. Don't expect him to be super close, but if he can outperform what Perez was doing, I think it will be comfortable. We just need him to score some points. So, props to Yuki for that amazing race, but he's yet to really show why he should stay in that seat, and that's just the reality of it. Again, Max was Max, doing Max things, and he secured that win in Imola. I would like to move on onto a topic that is somewhat of a meme, but we have King Stroll. Now, Stroll has so far for the season outscored two-time world champion Fernando Alonso in that Aston Martin car. Is it luck? Is it Stroll's, I don't know, masterclass? Did he magically become a great driver? My opinion is that it's all pure luck. Now, I do think Alonso has been very crashy at the beginning of the season due to the fact that he's trying to push the car maybe a little bit over the limit. We did see that he got unlucky a few times as well. This past race, for instance, with the strategies, I think the Astons were very quick in qualifying. Now, they did also go on a different strategy. They went on the mediums, which seemed to be the quicker tire over the entirety of a lap. A lot of the soft tires this past weekend were dying at the end of the lap. They took a punt and made it through to Q3. However, that did not translate in the race just due to some poor timing for safety cars for them and strategy. But I do think they have better pace in them compared to the start of the season. Keep in mind as well, Imola is a very different track to what we will usually see throughout the year. So it may just be that they capitalize on that or had set up preferences that were tailored to more that track. Now, I do think over the entirety of the year, Alonso will balance it out. But Stroll does have a decent head start on him so far. And I think it's nice. Stroll is always a bit of a joke. Yes, he's there because his father owns the team, but he could drive. Now, is he the greatest driver? Definitely not. Does he deserve the seat on merit alone? Probably not. There's probably better drivers that deserve it, but he is there, and it's good to see him doing well. Now, let's see if throughout the season Aston could improve the car or keep it where it was in Imola. That would definitely be a pleasant surprise. As it stands, they're not really challenging for much. They do have a lot of eggs in the Adrian Newey basket for next season. It's still nice to see him doing his thing. He's being relevant right now. I would like to move on to Ferrari. Now, will Ferrari find its way this season? To say the least, a very shaky, tumultuous start for Ferrari. I do think as well, and this, some of the Ferrari fans would say I'm hating a little bit as always, but I do think the talent of the drivers on the Ferrari team is hiding some of their flaws. We have two of possibly the best drivers on the grid in Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton driving for Ferrari, and I do think they are overachieving a bit. Now, you might say that they've been still not really scoring that many points, definitely not fighting for a win currently, but you see that the car didn't have the qualifying pace. They got lucky definitely on strategy in Imola, and they were able to move up many places. However, I think inherently that car is slow, and I'd like to understand exactly what the issues are for them, because when you look at their feedback, you look at their radios, they feel very frustrated. There's teams with slower cars that still seem to have a direction and know where they could improve. This just seems to be bad all over the place, and you could see that when they talk to their race engineers. They feel very flustered, and I do hope they could get things together. I think that McLaren, Red Bull, Mercedes fight isn't really there for them at the moment, but I hope they can join the party at some point. They have great drivers. Hopefully they could give them feedback in where the car needs to go, and obviously 2026 is a very different animal, but as it stands, yeah, we did see them both getting knocked out at Q2 for the first time ever at a home race, and I don't know how long the Ferrari fans, the Tifosi, could take it. I would like to move on to fantasy here. Now, we do have Monaco coming up next week. I said next week, I didn't mean next week, I mean this weekend. We have Monaco, and keep in mind this is the first time that there's a mandatory two-stop strategy in play. Usually Monaco is one of those races where qualifying sets basically how the race is gonna end. I don't know how much this two-stop mandate will change in terms of the position. Strategy does come into play a lot more, obviously, and let's see if there's hopefully some weather at play. But this is a good opportunity to use your final fix, I think, chip, because if you have someone in your team that maybe underperformed during qualifying, you could definitely swap them out for someone else before the race. I think it's a great strategy for a track like this. Shouldn't be telling you that, but look at it. We have our open league here. I did move down our place. Props to Dan Stappen again for moving back up. Not by many points, but still did overtake me. Christoph right behind, he's always on the heels, and then Kosi in 4th, Adam in 5th. But for the most part, everything kind of stayed the same. We do have an interesting few races ahead, I think, in terms of fantasy. We have some serious budget changes to look at. I had one or two people that definitely tanked. I will be making a few changes. And I think right now is a very interesting time for constructors. I think you have to choose your strategy wisely. Are you going to stick with the McLaren Merc build, or there's been a lot of people that transitioned last week positively from Merc to Williams? I did not. I stuck with Merc and paid the price definitely because of Antonelli's DNF. But let's see what direction everyone takes it. I definitely want to say that, again, Imola is very different from the upcoming tracks. So I don't think you could really look at last race performance and use that to expect the same moving forward. Now, again, we have the 2-stop mandate in Monaco. I do think it's something that could be very important moving forward. For other racetracks, there has been in recent years some very boring races. These cars are just too big, it's difficult to drive in dirty air, difficult to overtake on some tracks. So I think that mixing it up a little bit will make it interesting. I would love to see it go well this weekend, so hopefully it could be implemented in other tracks and make strategy a bit more of an importance. I know Ferrari fans may not like that. But yeah, let's see how that goes. Also, something else very important in the F1 world, we did have the full release of the F1 movie trailer. I think it looks wicked. Obviously, I could be a little bit biased on anything F1, but I think watching the reviews, the drivers were able to have a private screening recently, and I'm sure they're getting paid to say this, so we should take it with a pinch of salt. But everyone says the main thing about the actual movie is the authenticity, F1 world, the drivers, the behind the scenes, the camera angles. I know they spent tons of money just to get it feeling real, the most realistic sort of depiction of Formula One ever. So very excited for that. Let me know if you saw the trailer or not and what you think, if you're excited to see it or it's just something you're gonna pass. I think a lot of die-hard race fans or motorsport fans are against all these things, the hype on the movies and the fanfare, but I think it's a great thing. I think it brings more people to the sport, and at the end of the day, it is entertainment. And I think an F1 movie is definitely entertaining. With Brad Pitt, yeah, how could it go wrong? So that's it for episode 12. We do have a lot of races back to back now, so try to keep it short and sweet because we have a lot going on week to week. Thank you very much for tuning in, and big up Max Verstappen for that amazing race. Thank you very much. See you next time.